step, subtracting fractions. Of course, these had a common denominator already, you didn't have to, but the fact is you had to have a common denominator to subtract. You had 15 of them, they took 9 away, you had 6 left. They had 10 holes, they took 3 away, they had 7 holes left. And then the last step was to reduce it. 2 would go evenly into 6 and into 16, and that's why they got the 3/8 there. And that would be the answer. So you do it the exact same way you do addition. Follow the same steps. The only thing that is a little different is when you have to borrow when you subtract. It's not really different, you're just so used to using tens that you think it's different. Let's look at whole numbers. When you see 216, it's not 216 ones. You have 2 hundreds, like you told me before. You have 1 10, and you have 6 ones. That's the denominations you have. From that, somebody wants you to give them 100. They want 2 tens, and they want 9 ones, okay? If they want 9 ones and you only have 6 ones, you've always known you have to go and borrow, right? When you borrow here, you're taking a 10, right? Because you borrowed 1 10. So now you don't have any 10s left. You're going to change that 10 into 10 ones. Plus the 6 ones you already have gives you 16 ones, right? But now you're used to just dropping that 1 there, but I wanted to say it that way because I want you to understand what you're doing. You're not just dropping a 1 there. When you add a 1 in front of a number, you've added 10 to it. And you could add 10 because a $10 bill changes into 10 ones, right? Now they want 2 hundreds. You don't have any, I'm sorry, 2 tens. You don't have any 10s. So you have to come over here, get 100. And you're going to take one of those hundreds away, and that 100 changes into how many tens? 10 tens, right? Right? I didn't have any 10s before, so all I have are the 10 tens that I just borrowed. We accomplished that just by sticking a 1 there, but that's what you've done. Because if you look at this, and I was so surprised that somebody, and it was a college student, told me this one time, that they never realized that when you did all this borrowing, you still had the same amount of money. They thought you were losing something. They then changed the term to regrouping, I believe. You know, they changed math terms so many times. I think when my little sisters were in school, they called it regrouping or renaming or something. Because if you look, if you have a $100 bill, 10 tens, and 16 ones, you still have $216, right? It's just now in different denominations. Where you used to have 6 ones, now you have 16. You used to have 1 10, now you have 10 tens. You used to have 2 hundreds, now you only have 100. So that I can give you 9 ones, and I'd have 7 ones left. I can give you 2 tens, and I'd have 8 tens left. I'd give you the 100 and I wouldn't have any hundreds left. I'd have 8 tens and 7 ones, okay? So that's what's happening when you borrow in whole numbers. But you're used to just borrowing and dropping a 1, because in the base 10, putting a 1 in front of the number automatically adds 10 to the number, okay? But what you are doing is always borrowing a whole. You only needed 1 10 here, but I couldn't come over here and just break off a 10 off of that 100. I had to change 100 into 10 tens. I had to borrow a whole 100 and change it into 10 tens. I had to borrow a whole 10 and change it into 16 ones. I mean into 10 ones and add it to the 6 that I already had. So when you have fractions, they could want more pieces than you have too. I could have 2 quarters and something cost me 3 quarters. As long as I have $1, I can make some more quarters, right? As long as you have a hole, you can cut a hole into any size piece that you need. I have 2 holes and 3 sevenths. You want me to give you 1 hole and 5 sevenths. I need 2 more sevenths, right? I can't just go over to this hole and just break me off 2 sevenths. You can't do that. You have to take a hole and make the hole into sevenths. How many sevenths are in a hole? 7, right? If I cut a cake into 7 pieces, I have to have all 7 of them to make a whole. 1 7 sevenths is the same as 2. One of them is now just cut into pieces. It's like having $1 and 10 dimes, or $1 and 4 quarters, or $1 and 20 nickels. You see, I have a whole and 7 sevenths, but I already had 3 sevenths, right? So now what I have really is a whole and 10 sevenths. If I had 2 quarters but I needed another quarter, I'd have to change $1 into 4 quarters, right? Plus the 2 quarters I already had, I'd have 6 quarters in my hand. I'm not going to throw away the 2 I already had. So I changed the whole into 7 pieces, but I already had 3 pieces. Yes?
So you add the number with the other number from the whole, you make it a 10?
If I had 2 quarters and got 4 more, what would I do? How many quarters would I have in my hand?
Okay, so it's not like when you regroup on the regular one, like when
Yes, it is.
you get a 13.
I borrowed 10 plus the 6 I already had.
So you just borrow the whole and add it to the...
Add it to what you have.
Cool.
You have to borrow the whole. Because I can't, if you have 2 cakes over here, and I say, okay, come up here and cut me off 2 sevenths of that cake. Or 3 sevenths. What do I need? I need 2 more sevenths. Can you go over there and just cut off 2 sevenths? Do you know what 2 sevenths looks like? Can you go to a cake and cut me a third? Good, do you think you could? Oh yeah, I bet I get a little old piece. When you tell me I have a third, it's only a third if it's been cut into 3 pieces, even pieces, and I get one of those pieces. If you just go over there and cut a piece, how do I know it's even with 2 more pieces on there?
You don't see the other one.
I gotta see it all cut so I can measure. You don't have children yet, do you? Well, you trust me. If you have something that you're gonna cut into 3 pieces and it's 3 of them, you better know each piece better be the same size, or you're gonna be in trouble. Yes.
Okay, so then when you rewrite the problem, is it gonna be 1 minus 1 and 10 sevenths and 5 sevenths?
This is the way it is now. This becomes this.
Okay.
This doesn't change.
Okay.
Now I can give you 5, because I got 10 pieces. And I have 5 pieces left. See? And it makes sense that I'd have 5 pieces left. That's when I know you really understand fraction. This says you have 5 pieces of something that was cut into 7 pieces. How many pieces are missing? 2. That's the 2 I needed because I only had 3 and you wanted 5. You see what I'm saying? I really only got 2 pieces out of that other cake. But I had to cut it into 7 pieces in order to give you those 2 pieces. You see what I mean? It's just 2 pieces missing out of that whole cake. And that's when you start to understand fractions. And that's when you don't just memorize. It has to make sense to you that if you want 5 pieces and all I have are 3 pieces, I have to go get some more pieces. That makes sense, right? Now, if you want dimes, why would I change my quarter into nickels? Right? If you want dimes, why would I change my quarter into pennies? If you want dimes, I need to change it into dimes. If you want sevenths, I gotta cut the cake into sevenths. If you wanted fifths, I'd cut the cake into fifths. If you wanted 13ths, I'd cut the cake into 13ths. Whatever you want, because you can cut a hole into any size piece. Money you can only cut into the sizes that they issue. But a hole you can cut into any size piece. If they want a 17, I'll go cut 17/17. Then I can give you a 17, you see. Now sometimes you have some, but not enough. Sometimes you don't have any at all. And you've had these problems before. And people just want to bring that 3/8 down. But you got to think about, I have 2 whole things. You want me to give you 1 whole thing and some pieces of another whole. You're not going to have a whole and some pieces left. Right? That doesn't make sense. The glare's there for you? People will see this problem, just bring that 3/8 down. When you say, I don't do well with story problems, you're in trouble, because every problem's got to be a story problem to you. Numbers don't mean anything to you. You have to understand what the numbers represent. You have to say to yourself when you see these problems, I have 2 whole things. You want me to give you 1 whole thing and 3 pieces of something that's been cut into 8 pieces. Then it can make sense to you. I have 2 whole things. They want 1 whole thing, and they want 3 pieces of that one. But they want a specific size. They want me to cut it into 8 pieces.